Welcome to Around the Blockchain. Today, we're talking about DeFi's growth in 2023. We're talking about a huge DMV inking a deal with the Tezos blockchain and also secret knowledge of an Amazon crypto project. We're going to share some details. It's going to be a fantastic show. We got fantastic guests. On the top right, you can see him, Debate Crypto OG, also known as Crypto Keeper. How are you doing today, Crypto Keeper?
Doing well, DZ. Good to see you back, brother. I was on last week. We missed you.
I'm glad to be back, and I see you got new lighting behind that guitar, showcasing the
Yes,
musical talents. Also,
right.
Today's episode, we have Hotep Jesus. Looks like he has the background of a late night talk show host. How are you doing, Hotep? Is that your real window?
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
What's up, man? Good to be here.
Doing good, man. Doing good. Always love having you on. Also, we have Mr. FOMC himself. I'm talking about he streams all the Fed minutes, all the Fed meetings, all the CPI data. It is Tom Crown. How are you doing today, Tom?
Doing good, brother. How are you, DZ?
Doing great, doing great. And then last but not least, we have Cassius holding it down in the green spot. Cassius, are you ready for the weekend, brother?
I'm ready, man. What's popping, DZ? How you doing?
Ready to talk about some DeFi growth for this year. Looking at some numbers here, between December 2017 and January 9th, the most recent data we could get, the daily number of unique addresses that either bought or DeFi assets has been swelling and swelling. At first, December 2017, it was 189 wallets. Not 1,000, not millions, under 200, 189. December 2017. Today, 6.6 million. Now, that isn't active human beings. This is just amount of wallets being created. So presumably the number much less than 6 million people. But an increase of 3.5 million% over the past 5 years. And looks like it has grown by over 300,000 just from early 22. So still seeing a lot of growth, even though we are in the midst of a bear market here. Now, Hotep, I want to ask you, this is kind of a broad question that you really could go either way. What do you think decentralized finance is better for? Is it better for the retail investors, or do you think it is for those big money institutional players that are still going to use this for their exit liquidity?
Well, let me ask you this. When he started sending money to the Ukraine, what did you expect to happen? When Russia said no to cryptocurrency and then the war kicked off and they capitulated, what did you expect to happen? When Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested in the Bahamas, what did you expect to happen? When you shipped off your CBDC plans to MIT, what did you expect to happen? When you created your interoperability network, aka what is it, the LCN or something like that, the limited liability network, what did you expect to happen? DeFi was an inevitable.
Hotep, well, it sounds like you're painting a picture. We have let the fox in the hen house. Is there any way to get the fox out?
No. Why do you want the fox out? You don't want the fox out. You want the big boys to be in there. When you got whales and sharks in the water, that means there's food for you. So you stick close to the whale, you stick close to the shark, and after he eats, you eat.
All right. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And we say it all the time, regulation, while you might not want it, it is going to be the catalyst that increases your bags at the end of the day. So hate it or love it, it's going to just increase. It's going to make number go up and to the right. Can only happen if they continue to come in with the big money here. Now, Cassius, a lot of people, they think of DeFi and they think of just only staking. What is the difference between staking and DeFi?
Well, DeFi, first of all, it's a term that kind of can be used as more of a broad term just to mean decentralized finance. But when we're talking about here is DeFi is usually lending as well. So if you can stake your crypto, or you can put it up for lending, you can borrow against it as well. And then there's a different interest rate on it depending on which DeFi protocol you're on. So it's actually holding up better than all the centralized players. So that'd be like CeFi, what we call like FTX. And the DeFi projects aren't the one that failed everybody and took everybody's money. So I actually like that's how this all shook out, is that the DeFi protocols are still working. And so if you want to borrow or lend, it's wiser to use DeFi than it is to use a centralized exchange. And I think that part of the reason that 6.6 million wallets is going to keep increasing over the next year.
All right, and just to kind of combine what you said and combine what Hotep said, when he brought up FTX, you know who was paid back first? It was the decentralized finance protocols. Why? Aave is not just going to say, yeah, we'll cut you a break. Here, have all your ETH back. No, DeFi is the way, no matter small or big, contracts don't lie. All right, now, Tom Crown, what do you think is the largest holder keeping, Main Street adoption from hitting the DeFi space? I participated in it, but it wasn't by any means the first thing I did when I got into crypto. Do you think it's the trust issue? Because, there's a lot of hacks. You're seeing a lot of hacks. Do you think it's a regulation issue? Gary Gensler says I should stay away. I kind of want to stay away. Or is it just too complicated and maybe just a lack of understanding?
Well, let's get the fox out. All right, we got to get the fox out. That just sounded funny. So the biggest barriers for sure, and it's the reason I haven't entered the space really, is exactly that. It's just too complicated. There's too many question marks. We have the same barriers to crypto itself, and now you're adding another level of complexity with the decentral lending and borrowing. This was a really big topic last year when we had BlockFi and Celsius and all of the above. People were confusing DeFi and yielding and staking as the same thing, and they're all going to be different things. The staking is just part of the network. It's how the network remains secure. Staking your coins, acting as a node or whatever. Whereas yield going to be a totally different thing. As Cassius said, it's lending out your assets, getting back more. It was wild to me how many people had those confused. So I'm not in it for the same reason I think lots of people are. There's just too many question marks at the moment, and throwing in these hacks and losses is just going to keep people away farther, really.
All right, and shout out to David Duchovny, my favorite Fox Mulder. The truth is out there, everybody. The truth is out there. Crypto Keeper, are there any DeFi projects you're maybe looking at? Anything you're keeping an eye on? Are you looking at maybe getting into the smaller protocols, or are you still maybe thinking the compounds, the makers, the Aaves are the way to go?
Yeah, I actually have stayed. Crusader and I have looked at a lot of different DeFi protocols, and candidly, I'm glad that we didn't end up jumping into just about anything. I have been hesitant to get into the space. I'm pretty conservative as it relates to. I'm big into Ethereum. I'm big into Bitcoin. I've got some other assets as well, but I have been hesitant to jump into some of those just because there's been so many different. You're taking on a lot. You're taking on a lot of risk and not having information behind it. I do not like centralized finance. I love the idea of decentralized finance, but I think there needs to be, and I don't know what the answer to this is, but I think that there needs to be some more clarity as to what actually is happening when put my tokens in this space, and do I have any sort of backup or insurance that goes along with this, or is it just straight up, I am gambling with my money, I am taking a chance when I put my crypto in here that I'm not going to get it back? And these protocols ultimately, code is law. I love it. But at the end of the day, it's not the code that's breaking down. It is the financials that are behind it that ultimately, when people start pulling at a rapid rate, it just can't hang on. So I'm still nervous about it, to be honest. I like the idea. I'm not in on it.
Yeah, and especially with those small cap projects, that's the ones where you'll see the 40%, the 80%, the 300% APY, which essentially
when the numbers get crazy like that, it's too good. It's too good to be true, right? They had what was the one that was like 86,000% yield, and I looked at it and I said, listen, if you think for 1 second that you're going to get an 86,000% APY, and that's going to be able to be that's going to continually happen, you are smoking crack. That's not happening.
Yeah. You might get 86,000 APY on the token, but the value of that token is going to be dropping 99.9%. So sure, you have more of this thing that is now worthless. All right, let's talk a little Tezos and the DMV. The DMV I'm talking about is actually California. Is that Prince's symbol? Is that over?
It's a joke. They look the same.
Okay. All right. Well, Tezos. Oh, okay. I see now. Look, if I pulled up Tezos on CoinMarketCap, that was an obscure reference to the Tezos logo there, I guess. This is the 3-month chart. They just did a huge announcement, the California DMV. But before we get into the announcement, I want to look at the price action here. And we're really not seeing too much. I mean, you see it's up less than 1% right now. All-time high, right around $8.50. Currently, right around $1. If we look at the 24-hour, largely crickets. If you look at the 7-day, It's actually lower than it was many of the days this week. But California is piloting a DMV program for the blockchain and for all their citizens there. It's the most populous state. They've been testing this since 2020. It's the issuance of car ownership and simplifying transfers of deeds and car titles there. And it wants to do motorhomes, motorcycles, and switch them to what they're now calling e-titles. And it's already up and running with their validator nodes, but yet they've yet to cross anything over. And they said they're currently uploading the entire California DMV database onto the Tezos blockchain right now. Tom, I want to ask you about the price, though, before we get into this. I am seeing crickets on the price action. Aptos does nothing. A dev farts, and it jumps 40% in 24 hours. Tezos, much smaller market cap, huge announcement of the California DMV, and it's like no one cares. What is going on here?
You know, the first thing I think that's important is the Tezos blockchain itself isn't being used for this, as far as I know. It's a fork of Tezos. And so to expect Tezos price to rise off this news, I think is maybe a little hopium, but maybe good hopium, because really the whole market has been rising. It is odd that it's not just going to FOMO pump off of this, or at least so far it hasn't.
And you are
now
right.
it's really
It's
just
a
at $1, isn't
private
it?
it's a private fork by the California DMV. So yeah, you are correct.
So directly, you know, maybe not going to see a price off this. I wouldn't doubt if Tezos trades to like $1.40 in the next week or two. I mean, it's at like $1.10. It's looking decent. I do think this is on NFTs, and I think this is one of the best use cases that I've seen for NFTs, period. Way better than profile pictures, etc. This is important information that an account needs to exist, and that account needs to be verifiable by everybody. I mean, this is a great use of NFTs. So I guess hats off to California, whoever's doing that. It's awesome.
Well,
Did you guys
interestingly
clip
enough,
that? Did you clip that? Easy.
yeah.
He's had hats off to California. Yeah, hats off. That's
Well,
gonna be the only
interestingly
time we're
enough,
ever gonna hear
it was Gavin Newsom was actually the first one to sign this bill that led to the creation of this. I did not expect Gavin Newsom to be so pro-crypto friendly. I think Tim Dillon said it best. He's an effete wine merchant, largely out of touch. He was famous for eating at restaurants while, you know, decreeing that nobody else should. But it was okay. They were outside, and you know, they wore that while they walked to their table there. So, but California, it's very, very populated, the most populated state. Hotep Jesus, a couple questions. Do you think that, one, what were your thoughts on Gavin Newsom? Do you think this is a fox in the hen house? You know, is there an ulterior motive? Is it, you know, maybe privacy concerns? They want to eliminate a lot of freedom and maybe just paper transfers?
Is this directly out of his office? Because
no, it was a bill he signed 3 years ago that led to the creation of, you know, any kind of blockchain solutions for their state infrastructure. But second question, what other states do you think, or even the federal government, are they keeping an eye on this for their own potential rollout?
Well, I mean, you know, I was down in Miami. We were watching, I believe, one of the French games at the World Cup. I was talking to Jag over at Syscoin, and Jag, you know, he does a great job educating me on some of this technology. And he was telling me that this is where crypto is going. And he did mention card titles as being a use case. Maybe he was saying it specifically for Syscoin and what they could do, but he also mentioned medical records. And I thought that was pretty interesting as well. So, you know, anywhere it's a ledger, right? Like, so anywhere you have a record of something, and especially if it needs to be organized chronologically, then it makes sense to use that type of technology, especially when you don't want it to be, you know, you want it to be immutable. So, you know, it just makes sense that this would be where the future is going for things, especially like that. It just makes, I think there's some convenience. I don't see a conspiracy theory here. I just see convenience of using certain type of technology.
All right, well, let me ask you this real quick. Do you think this will be like a marijuana rollout where we probably end up to all 50 states do it on their own before the federal government makes a move? Or do you see a national ID maybe rolling out in the near future?
Nah, they'll probably do a slow rollout. They always do a slow rollout. You know, they always test things in small markets. You know that from being in corporate work. You know, you test it in small markets. But federal, I expect, obviously, we're all going to be microchip like cattle in a few years. So it is inevitable for that to become federal.
All right. Well, speaking of inevitabilities here, Crypto Keeper, What do you think the next governmental sector is that's going to try to use some blockchain technology? I think we've all thought of the DMV. You know, it always seemed like a slam dunk. Hotep said agriculture, there's potential schools like Cardano. Anything in particular, a state law? What are you looking at for the next upcoming sector?
Money, brother. Money.
USDC or CBDCs.
I am, yeah, CBDCs for sure. I see, and how fast that's going to happen, I don't know. They've got a pilot program that was running in New York. I mean, he who controls the money has the power, right? I like, Hotep was saying we're all going to be chipped like cattle, and I absolutely agree. And part of that means that they need to be able to track every single cent that happens. There's a great meme I've talked about a couple times before that has somebody like looking the other way about like $2 trillion that was missing back in 2001. And then it has them looking through a microscope at our $600 transactions on freaking Venmo. And so ultimately what's going to happen here is they are giving themselves the ability to know where every single last Satoshi, hopefully, but every single last cent is going in, out, sideways, left, right. I think they do want to eliminate cash because it does give us some sort of privacy. We already have our cell phones, so they've got a huge step there. We're losing privacy every single day. You can go into the airport in Detroit. They've got some wild stuff going on there. But yeah, I think it's money. It's got to be central bank digital currencies. They want to be able to tell us how fast, like when we can spend our money, how we can spend our money, where we can spend our money. It's just control. That's all we're seeing from the government recently.
All right, Cassius, same question. Maybe besides money, besides a central bank digital currency, and besides DMV, where do you see some potential rollouts happening with blockchain technology? What could we maybe expect in the next 5-year timeline?
Yeah, 5 years, and that's a good timeline. First of all, I'm out here in California, so I am proud that California government is trying to adopt some sort of blockchain technology, because you guys got to understand, we're kind of in a bubble, right? All of us crypto folks, where we know everything about it, Web3, maybe not everything about it, but we get it, right? We see why it's the future. There's still a majority of the population that doesn't even know that blockchain is a real thing. They just think crypto is fake internet money and we're a bunch of fools and stupid millennials or whatever they want to call it. So when you actually have implementation for something like the DMV, it legitimizes it. Even the CBDC, for all the bad reasons no one likes the CBDC, it makes it so that people who are all haters on are going to realize that crypto is real, blockchain technology is real. So I think it's coming next for sure. Real estate, he said, court documents, medical records, anything that you need a ledger for, something that you want immutable. You're going to be exercising zero knowledge proof technology, especially for things like medical records. So that way you can prove something is real without having to know exactly the source it came from. So all of that is going to be inevitably coming. And I'm glad that somebody is trying to adopt it in a way. I know it's just a private chain or a private fork of Tezos for the DMV, but you got to take baby steps. I mean, and that's where we are. We're all saying Web3 is coming and blockchain technology is coming. The baby steps, like this is how you do it. You have to implement it. You have to test it. None of this stuff is going to happen the snap of a finger. The internet was once never a thing. I remember one year there was a kid who had a email address on the football team and they all called him email all year long. And then the very next year, everyone on the team had an email address. So it's like a thing that is going to come. It's going to seem like it took a while, and then all of a sudden there's going to be mass adoption, I think. And this is just one of those steps.
All right. And I love the email analogy there. It kind of reminds me of the football player, the basketball player, takes it in Bitcoin. It kind of hurt, they did it at the top, they didn't really cash out, but on a long enough time scale, I think everybody's going to be quite jealous and looking at his Lamborghinis and say, hey, this is actually an athlete that didn't end up bankrupt and didn't end up losing all their money. How? Oh, they got paid in Bitcoin. So I could definitely see that being a narrative in the future. All right, let's talk. We buried the lead. Amazon and crypto. Amazon is selling Bitcoin directly. Look, check. Now, I'm just kidding, but that couldn't be that far from where we're at currently. They just made their first foray into the crypto industry, and it's targeting NFTs particularly. Now, this came from 4 people close to the matter. They're assuming maybe potential employees here. It's 4 unnamed sources, so take this with a grain of salt. This is published by Blockworks, and they said those familiar with it, they're launching their digital assets enterprise, and then one of the first thing is going to be blockchain-based games and NFT collectibles, and they actually have April penciled in as a potential launch date, April of this year. And Andy Jassy, the CEO, he is no stranger to collectibles, actually came from the collectibles industry, came from a collectibles company, MBI there. Now, huge news. Tom Crown, I remember 2017, I think it was on Reddit, and I don't even know if it was true or not, but I remember a huge Bitcoin pump off of rumors that Amazon.Bitcoin domain was bought up by Amazon. I don't know if you recall that. It's a huge thing. They would look at Walmart.Bitcoin. They're looking at little Concord, Connecticut, little papers and little paperwork. Oh my God, this LLC was just created. It's hugely bullish. Basically whispers, a
remember.
whisper of a rumor, and things are pumping. This is serious news. This is huge news. Let's look at the Amazon stock. I mean, I don't expect Amazon to pump off any news. This is a 5-year chart. You can see currently $100 a share. It was just 86. Was as high as close to 200 there at 1.180. So the stock is down. Is this big news for crypto? Is this a big nothing burger? Amazon's a gigantic corporation. Them getting into NFTs and NFT gamings would be gigantic. What are your thoughts of this?
And if I had $1 for every time I've heard Amazon partnered with something or, et cetera, I'd have $1 million easy. Like 2017, it was every other day. You're totally spot on, DZ. People were just like hot for Amazon. I think it's obvious that Amazon has interest in the crypto space. They would be silly not to. They're the biggest cloud provider. They're like half of the nodes in crypto. Like Amazon is already entrenched in crypto, whether they'd like to be or not. Is this itself big news, man? I hate to be the party pooper, but probably not. I would love to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong, but I've heard this too many times. You can't lie to me over and over again and expect me to believe it.
All right. Now, Crypto Keeper, they had previously announced a partnership with Ava Labs, AVA. That is the Avalanche team working along there, kind of like a foundation there. Do you think that this is just going to be a Avalanche-based ecosystem, or do you think they're going to go multi-chain and try to, connect to everybody here?
You know what? I have no idea. But what I think is interesting with Amazon getting into the crypto space, I agree with Tom saying that they would be crazy not to be looking into the crypto space, and they are already entrenched in it. The most valuable thing on planet Earth at this point is data sets. And so I think the question is, why is Amazon getting into crypto right now? Is it for financial reasons, or is it for data? Because one of the things that our government has been pressing, as we were talking about a little bit ago, was getting all of our information and having tabs on everything. Well, it seems like everybody on planet Earth at this point uses Amazon. And so it begs the question, NFTs are just a way to verify. It's just digitally verifying information. And so the question becomes, does Amazon step in and create their own crypto wallet, all of, whether it's on Ethereum, whether it's on, no matter what, whether it's Avalanche, whatever chain it's on, or whether it's multi-chain, whatever the case may be, are you then attaching that to your Amazon account? Is Amazon effectively now stepping in and taking all of your data sets from the crypto space as well, because you're tying your blockchain assets to Amazon and saying, yep, that's me. And they might do it in the name or the guise or the display as if, oh yeah, we're just doing digital collectibles and gaming, no big deal. But then you end up tying your .eth address or whatever the case may be to Amazon. Now Amazon has all of that information as well. I think the interesting question would be, why are they truly doing it? Is it a money play, or is it a digital information play? Is it your data that they're after?
All right. Good. Yeah. I mean, I think we all know the answer. I think we know what they're after, and definitely after our data with this. Now, Cassius, I want to ask, about their strategy moving forward. Do you think that they're going to copy California with an older blockchain like a Tezos or even a Starbucks with like a Polygon, something that's been around for years, time tested and true? Or are they going to go with one of these new shiny toys like a Aptos, a Sui, which isn't even out yet? Arbitrum, Optimism, some of these protocols that are under 6 months old, brand new, and maybe they can accumulate giant bags on the low.
That's a tough one. Here's the thing. A company like Amazon is so big. I know Starbucks is big too, but they honestly could make their own blockchain. So I don't know if that's going to be to their advantage to do that, because I think Keeper makes a great point about, they want your data. So maybe they do want you to maybe they do want to build it on a blockchain that people already use. So that way they can get you to sign up with your .eth or whatever, and then get your information, everything that's in your wallet. Obviously, we know they're going to want your data, of course, but they're big enough where they actually could start their own blockchain and do it that way. So it's kind of hard to say, but I also, again, I kind of think it's kind of inevitable. And like you were saying also that, I think Tom was saying that you're already mixed up in crypto if you're Amazon, because Amazon Web Services. So, you know, it's inevitable that they're going to be involved in blockchain NFTs regardless. But the fact is that somehow they're going to find a way to mix it with all of your purchases, all of your tracking, like everything is going to be tracked on the blockchain. And then, you know, how they're going to use that.
Well,
to market
Cassius,
it to us, we don't really
just to push back a little bit, do you think it's possible they're scared of a Facebook issue with DM coin where U.S. regulators, politicians, you know, Nancy Pelosi screaming at the top of her lungs, you know, Senator Warren coming for them? Do you think that they're maybe worrisome about creating their own blockchain because of securities issues and maybe easier to just tie onto something old?
Well, just because you have a blockchain doesn't mean you have to have a coin, right? So, you
Mm.
know, if they're just doing it to have their NFTs, right, as opposed to like a tradable asset, that could just be for just to store their NFTs on it. So if their NFTs are like to unlock your account or to whatever the case may be, it doesn't have to necessarily have to be like a security, of course, as some people might say. So I don't know, but however, that is a valid point. They'd be wise enough not to get themselves all tied up into that.
No, that was a good rebuttal, because now that I think about it, DM's main contention point was the fact that they're algorithmically stable coin that use a basket of global currencies, and it seemed like it was the actual specific coin that the lawmakers had. So good point there. Hotep Jesus, I want to ask, how do you think this is going to go, assuming this is true? Do you see something like a huge success, Amazon, they're, you know, full court press here, or is this going to be just another GameStop NFT marketplace or a Radio Shack?
Well, first of all, I'm with Tim full time with the shades. When we see somebody with them type of shades on, you just gotta listen to whatever they say. He just sound like he know what he's talking about. It seems like a huge nothing burger to me. Like there's nothing here to be even like talking about. However, I will say, due to the fact that this is Amazon, you have to respect the move. Now, what's going to make this key for Amazon? What's going to make this key for Amazon is getting real players in the game, in the crypto space, who know what they're talking about, so you can make this adoption seamless. The advantage to Amazon is how they've completely created an e-commerce renaissance. Nobody does e-com like Amazon. They have all of our payment, and they're going to get whatever they got to get to us like in like an hour if need be. Right? Like they have the distribution chain is just off the hook. You know, now I'm like, I don't even want to send my package with FedEx. I just want to send it with Amazon. Can't you just come take this package from me? You do much better than the rest of these guys. But because they have this, also their email marketing is great, but I see NFTs being quite easily integrated into their platform. And you know, also getting people to purchase, getting people to buy. This stuff can be mixed into Amazon Prime. They have already got the movies. They are, you know, they've already got their hand in selling games. If there's a company that could take advantage, it's definitely Amazon.
Hotep, do you think Amazon will be the first to land with the quote unquote the super app, the app that does everything? Or be an Apple Siri or like a Google Assistant?
Yeah, I think Amazon is probably the closest to it. Yeah, I can't see anybody else really doing it better. I mean, Elon with Twitter, he can integrate it into Twitter, but you know, you got to fix the spaces with Twitter. You know, it's so much things. Fix the DM experience on Twitter. Make that an experience. Like you shouldn't even be coming over here. But I can see Bezos definitely stepping in and being the guy that owns this space. I mean, what's the problem with crypto right now? The problem with crypto right now is the boomers can't get onboarded. So if you already have my information, like, can't I just onboard automatically? And I just wake up one day and they just go, Amazon's go, here's your crypto address, you're in. You're like, oh, thanks. I didn't even know I needed this.
Hotep, could you see it being Clippy, since Microsoft just bought ChatGPT with a huge investment? Could we see Clippy as the ultimate AI one day?
Oh man. So I'm involved with AI. We have wazoai.com. We do camera vision analytics. And Amazon, AI is the type of situation where, like, no matter what you say, you're right. like literally whatever your brain can imagine with AI, it's going to be possible because you just keep loading libraries into this thing. You can teach it whatever you want to do. I was just thinking the other day, like, why don't I have the AI create me another AI? Right? Like, that's really, and then I saw that they got some college courses coming down the pike now where kids are going to come out making their own chat GPT. And I'm thinking to myself, it's really not that difficult. You just need the engine and you need the libraries. If you got the engine and somebody's programmed that and you get that code, then it's just a matter of, well, what libraries are you going to give it? And that's why you've seen a lot of people in the artistic industry mad at like Mid-Journey and some of these other guys, is because they're like, yo, I can tell you put my artwork in your library and you trained it on my style of artwork. And I think there's going to be some plausible arguments for that. But AI is coming. It's the future. Get used to it, man. You know, learn to love it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they decide that. Will it go to Supreme Court? Will it be an indexing ruling similar to Google, or will it be a copyright issue? You're stealing my hard work. It's going to be interesting. All I know is I want Skynet to be pushed back long as possible. And Skynet, if you're listening, you can have my boots, my jeans, and my motorcycle. That is all we have time for today. And it looks like Hotep ended up taking it from Cassius there at the end. It was the AI rant. Also, I just want to appease the AI overlords. Okay, so watching Hotep Jesus, feel free. Leave us with some parting thoughts. Hopefully that's not LA in the background about to blow up.
I don't know what city that is behind me. I just know it looks damn good. Shout out to the Around the Blockchain audience. I appreciate you. If you want to stay focused, you want more productivity out of your day, try masterfocus.com. Go check out my herbal, 100% natural, nootropic. It's the thing I use to keep myself focused, really grind, get more hours out of my day. I appreciate y'all, man. Great work, DZ.
Hey, appreciate it, Hotep. It's been a wonderful episode. Today's episode brought to you by bcvault.com and presend.io. BC Vault stores, presend. You could send it. They're both secure. Check it out. You break this, you get a free Bitcoin, literally. So we definitely check them out. Check out the links in the description for all the channels right here. Make sure you sub to everybody. Make sure you follow them on Twitter. They're all putting out great content. That's all I got. If you got shades like this, hey, it's just because the future is so bright. And why? It's because we're all here and we're all building. I'm market buying that Bitcoin just for you. I'm pumping your bag. Until next time, Bit Squad. See you Monday.